Hey guys, I'm back for another video, and today I'm going to talk about some stuff. This is a commentary video, and with the weather getting colder as winter approaches, I figured it would be the perfect time to tell you guys about a story that happened back in Scouts, something like 4 to 5 years ago. So if you guys don't know, I am an Eagle Scout, and it took many years to get to that rank. And there were so many funny experiences along the way. Like, I've been doing this scouting thing since I was 11 years old. And even before that, I was in Cub Scouts, but it's too far back to remember much. But yeah, I've had tons of experiences with Troop 38. Shout out to you guys. You guys are awesome. Yeah, I was one of, I think, 11 Eagle Scouts at that ceremony. It was pretty crazy seeing the whole group go from start to finish. It was pretty cool. So a couple of years ago, my troop took part in a camp out called the Freezery. This wasn't your standard pitch tents and hike in the woods sort of thing. This was a big event. Not only was it freezing cold, hence the name, but there were events that would go on. It was a multi-day thing. It was, I think, a 2-day camp out. And it was, I don't remember where it was. All I remember is that it was out in the woods with a bunch of clearings, like open areas. And I'm just going to tell you from experience, guys, I've been to 3 of these. And this one was the coldest one. Not only was it like frigidly cold, like snow on the ground and ice and crap, it was negatives outside. And of course, we were prepared for it. We had our sleeping bags and our winter clothes, but even with like 6 layers on, at one point it was so cold I refused to move until I got a heat pack. And yeah, so there's these like chemical heat packs that you can put on, like, and stuff underneath your gloves and whatnot to keep you warm. But yeah, it was really brutal. As the day went on, of course it got slightly warmer, still negatives, but slightly warmer during the day. And there were a lot of events there. So one of the events was the Snowshoe Competition. So basically there'd be a foot race and you'd be going through snow that hasn't been squished down yet. There were like 4 or 5 troops involved. And I actually was tasked with making a set of snowshoes and using it for my troop. I think there were 2 people a troop that would participate. So yeah, I was one of them. And I have to say now, I am not good at making snowshoes. I took a bunch of sticks from the woods, which you are supposed to do, by the way. That's part of it. It's a whole lashing competition. So you have to lash a bunch of sticks together with rope. So, yeah. So I did pretty bad, not gonna lie. I think it was like the clove hitch I did over and over and over again in the shape of a snowshoe. And then in the end, I tied my boots to them. And it made like a checkerboard pattern. Nonetheless, the shoes fell apart halfway through the race. It was pretty hilarious, not gonna lie. And there was also a snow fort building competition, which was really cool. My troop ended up making this giant igloo looking thing out of just packed snow and random debris lying around, whether it be like hay or sticks. And it was a really sturdy and huge base. Like, you could fit 10 scouts in there at once. It was pretty awesome. And our scout leader actually slept in it overnight, which was hilarious. Like, he actually, instead of going in his tent, slept inside. And he said it was really hot in there, which, if you guys don't know, igloos are actually really efficient for keeping heat in. And yeah, so that was pretty hilarious that they actually slept in the thing and trusted it not to fall apart on him, which it didn't. There were also a couple water-based events like ice fishing, and then there was a special one for the life-saving merit badge or something like that. I don't remember specifically what badge, but there was a guy in a wetsuit that would constantly like throw himself out in the water, and then the scouts were required to save him. And I would hate to be that guy. Like, how freezing cold that must be to have to dig under the ice and just sit in the water while like 12, 13-year-old scouts save you over and over and over again. Like, that just sounds brutal. So then we get to the main event, which was the snow sled challenge. So what was going to happen is each troop, out of the 4 or 5 troops involved, each one would make their own sled out of whatever they could find. So, of course, this was made before the camp out and they brought them over. So the sleds were made out of, like, ours was made out of balsa wood and snow skis. And the way that ours worked is that it was kind of like a dog sled, except instead of dogs, there were 6 scouts in the front pulling this thing. So if you can imagine 6 kids pulling a sled down a hill, and the sled was what you'd expect, like maybe the size of like a go-kart or something. And there was the one scout, of course, standing on top, directing where we go. I was in the back. So I was in the back of the 6. Like, there were 2 scouts on each level, and there were 3 levels, and I was on the back. And then my friend Bobby was on the other side. So the race begins. Me, and we're all friends in the troop. So, yeah, I'm still friends with all these guys to this day. But, yeah, the 6 of us were just running, pulling this thing. It was pretty light, actually. It might have been heavy, but it was really easy to pull because the route we were going on was already pressed down quite a bit. And we had snow skis on the thing, so it just slid right on top of the snow and ice. So we were just going through, having a good time. It was a pretty competitive race, actually. We were something like 2nd place at the time, trying to pass first. And then we get to this hill. We were on the top of the hill, and then we started running down. And in my head, I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be great. We're going to get the speed boost we need to finally get past this 1st place sled. So then we go down the hill, and the sled starts speeding up, as we expected. But remember, guys, we're in, like, snow clothes. Winter clothes, like the really, really thick jacket, the gloves that you can't even, like, grab things with. Really, really thick stuff. And it was heavy. We had boots on, too. So if you can imagine, it was kind of hard. The sled started to catch up on us. So we were just sprinting down this hill, trying not to get run over by this freaking sled. And then the one friend, Bobby, was on the other side. And he couldn't keep up. He was the first scout to trip and fall, and then he somehow managed to slide right underneath the skis on the sled. So at this point, he's literally getting squished between the ground and the sled. So the ropes he was holding on to before he fell managed to get wrapped around his arm. So he was just stuck underneath the sled because the rope was still on top of the ski and he was underneath. So he was completely stuck. If you could imagine a sled going something like 6 to 10 miles an hour down this hill with a kid stuck underneath the skis. So yeah, Bobby got run over by the sled. And the only thing he could manage to say while getting squished was, "Guys, you're running me over! You're running me over! Stop the sled!" We tried our best to slow down the sled, but there was practically ice on the hill at that point. There was no stopping this thing. So we just had no choice but to keep running while Bobby was getting squished by the sleigh and scraped down the hill. So eventually his arm gets loose of the rope. He escapes. He basically just rolls off the side, does a barrel roll, and then we just continued the race because he managed to get out. And then we ended up getting last place because we practically like stopped because of the lack of manpower since we lost a guy, and we were going down the hill pretty slow since we had some kid literally underneath the ski. So then afterwards, it turned out he was completely fine. No injuries, and that was just a part of our troop's history that we all look back to and laugh, including Bobby. And yeah, just shout out to you, dude, for taking the hit for the team. Like, geez, man, you literally got run over by a dog sled and no injuries sustained. GG. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you guys liked it. Not gonna lie, this is probably one of the funniest things that's happened to me. So leave a like down below if you enjoyed this commentary and want to see more in the future. And stay safe out there. And don't go downhill in a sled unless you're prepared to sprint. So that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.